We live in a world where authenticity is no longer something we experience, but something we simulate and sell. Once rooted in lived memory or physical proof, it's now a signifier, a brand, if you will, that can be manufactured with digital precisions. Take the grain filter on your Instagram post. It doesn't capture reality, it simulates nostalgia. We trust these images, not because they're true, but because they look like what we expect truth to look like. Roland Barthes once said that photographs gain their power from what he called the that has been. A photo, in this sense, is not just a picture. It's proof of something already past. But here's the rub. Even decayed or doctored photos carry an air of truth because we associate them with memory itself. The line between real and staged becomes meaningless when all our evidence looks like it was taken from someone else's film reels. We once believed a photo was more honest than words. But now, every click is an act of storytelling, and the story doesn't need to be true. Benjamin warned that reproduction withers aura, but he didn't foresee how we'd turn loss into gain. Today's manufactured past isn't about honoring truth. It's about selling access to a future where you belong.
Frontier 1937 marks a pivotal moment in technological evolution, representing the first successful integration of quantum principles into early-stage computing prototypes, laying foundational groundwork for modern.
We live in a world where history is not just reenacted, it's algorithmically orchestrated to feel authentic, even when it isn't. Think of Instagram filters that age your photos with grain and JPEG compression artifacts. These aren't mere visual quirks. They're emotional cues designed to make digital content seem more human, more trustworthy. Nostalgia has become a marketing tool. Warm lighting in ads evokes home videos from the 90s, and AI generated handwriting mimics letters we never received. Century footage of silk from coal is a performance, even as it claims objectivity. Just like today's AI generated content. In the algorithmic age, we're not passively receiving history. We're being fed curated fragments that align with our desires and fears. The digital tools at our disposal don't just preserve the past. They repurpose it for emotional effect. Political speeches get old film filters to evoke solemnity. Advertisements use period music to sell timelessness. These are not stylistic choices. The more we lean into them, it's a paradox. The very knowledge that history is being reassembled for us makes us cling to its aesthetics. We trust not because things seem real, but because they feel familiar. In this way, nostalgia becomes a form of control. You're told what to remember before you can forget it on your own. The past isn't just sold here. It's manufactured to make the future feel inevitable.
Out of air, water, and coal, we produce a fertilizer for which Americans formerly had to travel thousands of miles.
Technopoly, as Neil Postman warned us, doesn't just replace old tools, it replaces old ways of thinking. In this new world, history isn't a record of what happened, but a resource to be mined for persuasive narratives. Every new technology brings with it not only new data, but new lies. Because the medium shapes how we remember as much as it does how we communicate. We no longer learn from history. We dress it up in whatever format sells most efficiently today. And when something doesn't fit, it simply disappears. After the archival clip, we return to a world where authenticity is increasingly manufactured. Deepfakes and AI influencers now mimic familiar voices, faces, and tones, not just as performance, but persuasion. They are digital ghosts with authority. These are not just fictions of every kind. They're calculated hallucinations designed to root themselves in our collective memory, like old photos or newsreels. We trust them because they look like
What's the biggest potential market, if you will, for these kinds of applications?
Well, it seems to me that expert systems, as they have been going along, probably represents a rather large market, and we'll continue to develop systems that are less brittle over the next 5, 10, 15 years. Another very important application is computer programs that are able to converse with humans in English, everyday ordinary language, and that's going to make computers accessible to a much wider variety of people.
Think about how we measure time. Not by seasons or stars, but by algorithms and digital clocks. Our perception of history is no longer rooted in lived experience, but in curated timelines designed to make the future feel inevitable. We are sold a version of yesterday that serves tomorrow's agenda. The past becomes a product wrapped in nostalgia, its authenticity secondary to its function as branding for an uncertain future. And yet, the more advanced our fakery becomes, with deepfakes and synthetic media, the harder it is to distinguish between what was real and what only ever looked like it. In India, political figures are already being manipulated through AI-generated videos elsewhere. Side hustlers sell custom-made nostalgia to brands that want you to remember something you never lived. Deception has become not just a tool, but an economic infrastructure.